Welcome to 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk podcast, powered by Gorgeous TruckHers. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining. I am Mia Robinson, a transportation professional with 24 years of industry experience, a DOT safety and compliance trainer, CDL state examiner, and the founder of Gorgeous TruckHers. So listen, today we're talking about a topic that's real, relevant, and in my opinion, long overdue. We're diving into the conversation around why CDL alone, why a CDL, should I say, alone is not enough anymore. Why training matters, why safety matters, why some drivers are being put on the road without enough preparation, and why, in my opinion, we also need to stop putting all the blame on drivers while ignoring the carriers that hired them. I said it. So before I start, this topic alone gained a lot of attention after discussion at the Truckload Carriers Association annual conference in Orlando, where FMCSA Administrator Derek D addressed the industry. And then I also seen an article by, I believe it was Rigo Diaz, wrote an article that helped put those concerns into plain language. So there he goes. So this here is Derek Bars. Kudos to you. So if you care anything about safety, accountability, training, and the future of the industry, please don't go anywhere. We are definitely about to dive into it. And before I get all the way started, because y'all know I will go all the way in, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk, on all podcast platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, YouTube. Also, make sure that you go follow Gorgeous TruckHers on all social media platforms. And also visit GorgeousTruckHers.com for all of your EODT training, pre-trip study groups, mentorship, and more. So make sure you go visit the website. But stay tuned. Let's get into it.
You're listening to the 10-4 Radio with Mia. 23 years in the game, still shifting gears, still dropping gems, and still Gorgeous TruckHers strong.
Before we start, do me a favor and lock in with the show. You can listen to 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Gorgeous TruckHers, and subscribe on YouTube at 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk. Now, welcome to 10-4 Radio. I'm your host, Mia, or as most call me, your favorite trucking auntie. Let's get into it.
Artlist.io. Licensing.
All right, y'all. So welcome back to 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk, powered by Gorgeous TruckHers. So today we're getting into something that needs a whole lot of attention in trucking. There's been a long-standing problem in the industry where people treat a CDL like it's the final proof that somebody is fully prepared, trained, and just fully safe. So as you can see, the topic is CDL isn't enough. So why carriers need to stop hiring unsafe drivers. And so we know that just because you get a CDL, that you're not ready, you're not considered just a great driver just because you got the CDL. We know that's not true, right? A CDL may show that somebody has met the minimum standards. Keyword, minimum standard, to get through the process, but it does not automatically mean that you got quality training. It does not automatically mean that you know how to back safely, right? It doesn't automatically mean that you know how to manage space, communicate professionally during an inspection, recognize hazards early, or make solid decisions under pressure. Decision making is a big part of getting into this industry. We've seen people make horrible decisions that has cost people's lives. U-turns where they shouldn't be making U-turns, lane changes when there's apparent, obviously not enough room for the truck to fit, just different things like that. And that right there is the part for me that people keep skipping over, right? So the bigger conversation around this topic, it picked up traction, like I said, after FMCSA Derek D spoke at the Truckload Carriers Association and annual conference this month, where industry concerns around enforcement, education, and safety were front and center. So there was an article also written that helped push that discussion further by breaking down why carriers should not rely on the CDL alone when hiring drivers. And honestly, I agree with it. I agree with the heart of it, because this is bigger than paperwork. This is bigger than hiring. And this is definitely bigger than checking a couple of compliance boxes. This is about public safety. So I'm not going to read you the whole article word for word, but I do want to read the heart of what was said, because I really think it matters. So basically, it pushes the point that carriers need to stop treating a CDL like the final proof that a driver is fully road ready. It focuses on the idea that before hiring, carriers should look deeper into things like where the driver was trained, that part, where the driver, whether the driver can communicate effectively during an inspection and real world operations, and whether that CDL reflects actual competency, right? Not paper qualifications. Does the driver really understand their job? And to me, that part stood out, because for years, many of us in safety and training have known there is a difference between having a CDL and being ready for the road. Those are not always the same. Those are not always the same. So from a safety standpoint, this is exactly why I agree with the overall message. Weak training will always show up in real world driving. It shows up. It shows up in bad backing. It shows up in poor following distance. It shows up in panic decisions. It shows up in miss hazards. It shows up in inspections. It shows up in drivers' decision making, like I spoke about earlier. It shows up in drivers not understanding that operating a commercial vehicle is not just about moving a truck or holding the steering wheel and going straight. It's about judgment. It's about discipline. It's about awareness, and it's about responsibility. And let me be clear. Some people are being pushed through with just enough training to get by, but not enough to truly be prepared. That's scary. Just yesterday, and I was just talking to one of my friends, CDL Shorty. If you guys haven't seen him, go follow him on social media, CDL Shorty. He's always advocating for drivers. So him and I was having a conversation. There was a accident where a trainer was driving and flipped the truck. He did a video from inside of the truck while still being on its side, with him still hanging in the seatbelt and his trainee also being over there. And what was concerning was he was laughing about it, as if that was a joke, as if flipping a tractor trailer was funny. And the fact that he on the side, flipped over on the side, the first thing you did was get your phone? Or did he already have his phone in his hand? Hmm. But there was the lack of concern, the lack of understanding that it was a safety risk. Luckily the truck didn't flip on another car or hit anybody, or it was just the funny part. Like, I didn't understand what was funny. And CDL Shorty and I was both kind of on the same page, like, what's funny? And even today, he was making jokes about it. He has a neck brace on and he did a video. It was literally content for him. And these are people that have CDLs. Now, another concerning thing was, I'm going to have to go fact check this, but I believe, if I recall in the video, he mentioned, this is what I was getting ready to tie into this. He mentioned that he told them he didn't want to be a trainer. He told them he didn't want to be a trainer. And he's a trainer. So, why? Why is he a trainer if he told his company that he didn't want to be a trainer? This is what just filling seats. This is why just filling seats is dangerous. This is not one of those jobs where good enough is good enough, right? Like, when training is weak, crashes happen. And this is a prime example of that. He told his company he didn't want to be a trainer, yet he's a trainer training somebody. Now, also, I followed up on that video. The trainee, the guy lost his job. The trainee is now scared to go back out on the road. I would be too. It's just it's a trickle down effect. This is why training is so important, and putting the right people in those positions. Again, when training is weak, crashes happen. Property gets damaged. People get hurt. Careers get ruined. Lives get changed in seconds. So yes, I'm glad this topic is being talked about more. And yes, I'm glad there is more attention being placed on the lack of quality training being provided in some parts of this industry, because it has definitely been needed. But here's what I want to take the conversation to. I want to take it a step further. We also have to stop only blaming the driver. Now, I'm gonna probably step on a few toes with this, and I'm okay with that. I speak what I want, and I speak what I feel. Let me say that. We need to stop only blaming the driver. Mia, what do you mean by that? I'm not saying drivers should not be held accountable. No, they definitely should. Absolutely, they should. But what I am saying is accountability cannot stop there. Because the driver, right, would not have been operating under that company's authority if that company hadn't hired them. So if a carrier hires a driver they know is undertrained, unsafe. Oh, and speaking of unsafe, going back to the video I was talking about, the driver, the trainer, had already had a few accidents prior to this. Just wanted to go back and make reference to that. So it was leading up factors to this accident. So the carriers hire drivers that like I said, are undertrained, unsafe, inexperienced, beyond what they can safely handle, or clearly not ready. Then the carrier owns part of the problem too, right? We got to stop acting like the company plays no role once something goes wrong. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. We know that's not true. Cause tell me, who hired them? Hmm? Who screened them? Hmm? Who road tested them? Huh? Who signed off on them? And then who decided they were ready to represent the company on the road? That matters. Who decided all that? The carrier. If a carrier is so focused on filling seats that they skip proper evaluation, overlook red flags, or rely only on a CDL alone without verifying the actual skills, then they are contributing to the very safety issues they later want to blame only on the driver. Make that make sense. The driver is the easy target. That's the low-hanging fruit. Listen, like I said, some people may not like what I'm saying, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes the truth makes people uncomfortable. I'm okay with that. But this is just my thoughts and opinions. This is my take. All I'm saying, a CDL should be the beginning, right? It's not the finish line. Yes, the license should open doors. It should not automatically close the conversation, though. We need, in my opinion, we need stronger training. We need better evaluation. We need more real world preparation. And we need carriers to stop hiring like they are just trying to cover a route and start hiring like safety actually, we need them to start hiring like safety really means something. Because saying, all the companies say safety first, it sounds real good in the meetings. It sounds real good. You see it all plastered on the wall. Safety first, safety first. But if you're putting unqualified people in the trucks, then clearly safety is not first. Again, if you're putting unqualified people in trucks, then clearly safety is not first. That part. And I think that's what a lot of people are tired of. There's a lot of great truck drivers, but this is not tearing down drivers. This is not what this is about. This is about, for me, it's about protecting the public. Anybody know me know I'm big on safety. That's my career. This is about protecting the industry. I've been in this industry for over 2 decades. This is about protecting drivers themselves from being thrown into situations they were never properly prepared for. A lot of these companies and schools are setting these drivers up for failure. They're setting these drivers up to potentially kill themselves or somebody else. That's a reality. So again, this is about protecting the public and about protecting the industry. Because sometimes the failure started long before the driver ever turned the key. It started with poor training. It started with weak standards. It started with careless hiring. It started with a company deciding that having a body in the seat mattered more than having the right person in the seat. And that has to change. That has to change. So, when I read the article, I actually read a few different articles with that Derek Bars had done in his career, and this one was, of course, something that I really liked that he said. So, of course, I wanted to kind of touch on that. So, stuff has to change. So again, back to what I was saying. I agree with the overall message that Derek Bars put out there. A CDL alone is not enough. Period. And again, I'm really glad more people are finally saying this out loud. But my opinion is, if we really want to improve safety in this industry, then we have to hold everybody accountable. Hold the training providers accountable. Hold the drivers accountable. And absolutely hold the carriers accountable too. Because unsafe drivers do not magically appear under a company's authority by accident. Accidents. Somebody hired them. Somebody cleared them. And somebody signed off on the risk. And until we start being honest about that, we're going to keep having the same conversation over and over again. That's my take. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. Let me know what y'all think. So my question to you guys, do we need more accountability placed on carriers when it comes to hiring unsafe or undertrained drivers? And have you seen examples in the industry where having a CDL did not match the actual readiness? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I want to know, have you seen this? So I'm going to go ahead and end this here. Again, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. 10-4 Radio, The Yard Talk, on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Again, don't forget to follow Gorgeous TruckHers on all social media platforms. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. Until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, keep it between the lines, and I'll talk to y'all later. 10-4, 10-4.
Thanks for watching.